And we're live and back again. No, it's been a couple weeks since I've seen you guys. Uh, Plenty of stuff to talk about. I want to talk about a new thought, a new plan, maybe for the morning cup of cyber, where we enjoy our cup of coffee, or in my case, cup of illy in our great state of Missouri cup. Um, yeah, I think there's some changes to be made. I think to work with the current situation here. I guess here in the world, definitely here in the United States, in pretty much everywhere in the world right now. So, gonna talk about some new things and new ideas. Definitely want your input on it. Let me know what you think about the kind of new or temporary direction I want to go. Um, Talking to this morning, we'll talk about a little bit about Security Plus and I guess what we can do for the next couple weeks. So join us this morning for our cup of cyber, where we jump into Security Plus network devices. So it's been crazy couple weeks. 3 weeks ago, jumped on a boat, went on a cruise. Uh, this virus thing, this coronavirus, was starting then, um, but it didn't seem like that big a deal. Spent 2 weeks on a boat, got back a week ago, and man, things were crazy. Toilet paper was gone. You couldn't get a lot of foods were gone from the grocery store. Then almost immediately, most businesses, most organizations started sending people home to work from home, which I think is good. Um, I've always been a proponent from working remote. It makes a lot of sense. It helps the individual. You don't have to drive to go to work if you don't have to. And it helps the business. They don't have to pay for so much office space. They don't have to pay for parking and lighting and security and air conditioning, all those stuff, all those things. It does raise some challenges though, but a lot of jobs in security can be done remote. There's a lot of jobs we can do remote. Um, but if you're trying to get into security, you know, you need to make that first step. How do you get that first step in the door? Um, and that's a lot of times it's the Security Plus certification. If you don't have any certification, Security Plus is your best first security certification. Um, at most times, I would not advise going directly to the Security Plus. I would say if you're going to do the CompTIA route, do IT Fundamentals Plus, then do A Plus, then maybe do Network Plus, and maybe even Linux Plus, and then Security Plus, because there's a lot of topics that are covered that you kind of need a background on. So um, normally I wouldn't advise just jumping right into Security Plus, but given the situation we're in, I was thinking we take the cup of cyber, the morning cup of cyber, and we revamp it at least for the near term, and we start covering Security Plus topics, right? So if you're at home, whether you're at home working remote and you have a little bit of time to watch these videos, or unfortunately, there's a lot of people that are at home and they're not working. They're waiting to get back to work, you know, and then that's a scary, challenging time. Um, you know, in those cases, I would say, you know, use the time to brush up on a new skill. Maybe get the certification. Maybe take the time to get your Security Plus. And hopefully, this doesn't last that long. But I say we power through. We start getting, you know, every morning cover part of the Security Plus exam body of knowledge, right? So today's is a smaller one because I figure we talk about it a little bit. And I do definitely want to get your feedback. Let me know what you think. I know we're taking our normal kind of a broadcast, for lack of a better word, a broadcast schedule, and we're turning on its ear. We're changing it to something else. So let me know what you think about that. Changing from, you know, talking about controls, talking about the RMF, talking about risks every week, That was kind of where we at. We had a kind of schedule where we followed through. We talked about different roles in security. We talked about a step in the RMF, a control, a threat, and then normally finish the week off talking about a certification. But I just want to switch that up, and we'll just start powering through Security Plus topics. So I'll start today. If you guys all come back saying this is crazy, it's ridiculous, then we can revisit that. But if it makes sense, let's power through Security Plus. So it is it's Monday, and the day today is National Chip and Dip Day. So we'll keep this going. We'll keep our the crazy wacky holiday that it is, because that's probably what we need right now. National Chip and Dip Day. So get your chips, get your dip. Have a snacky snack today with some chips and dip. Maybe that's your throw them in at lunchtime or something like that. So, what we are talking about, CompTIA Security Plus. I think I did a Cup Cyber on Security Plus, so I will throw that link over there after we're done recording. You can click on that and check out the Security Plus exam topics. It's a good one. It's a good one. It's one to start with if you're new to security. I think even if you've been around security for a while, it's probably one that's worth getting. So, jumping into Security Plus, what we're talking about is network design elements, right? So that's our short deck today is going to be talking about network devices. So part of network design elements is network devices. So knowing the difference between different types of network devices and what they are and what they're used for, right? So the big ones we're going to talk about, there's only 4, because I think these are the most important 4, and I would even say that there's really 3 we need to talk about. But bridge is still in there. I guess bridges, there are some bridges used to connect to networks, and we'll get talking about that later. But I think hub, which you probably won't, maybe I'm down to 2. Switches and routers are probably the big things you're going to see these days. But you should know what a hub is. You should know what a bridge is, and a switch and a router. So that's what we will cover this morning is these 4 devices and kind of some high points about what they're for, right? So I'll start with the hub. The icon you see in the lower, I guess you're looking at the lower right corner, the slide's lower left, is Cisco's icon. So if you see it on a network map, you'll know this is a switch. It's just double-headed arrow on a box with some ports on the bottom. Hubs are older devices. We call it a dumb device, right? And their job is to connect computers to the network, right? So you have one cable coming in and a number of cables, 4, 5, 15, 20, coming out. And all those cables go to different computers. And the problem with a hub, which is a problem and a benefit depending on what you're trying to do, but all the communication that goes into the hub, so if communication comes from one computer to another computer, it broadcasts them on all the ports. So it goes in one port and it goes out all the other ports. So if there's 4 ports, one's coming in and 4 going out, so to speak. You got 4 computers connected. They're all going to get all that traffic all the time, right? So, this device here, it says it's a hub. I think it's really a smart switch, but it's hard to find hubs anymore. I think I picked this one up at maybe even Goodwill, thinking it was a hub, but really it's a switch, right? So if you look, there's a number of ports here, right? Whoops, number of ports here. I've always got to think backwards. Yeah, and we've got one here that's marked uplink, right? So normally if we're connecting this to another network or something like that, or to your router or something, that your cable modem, that would be that connection right there. And then that gives you in this case 5 connections you can connect computers to, right, or printers or whatever. So in this case, when traffic comes in this port, it's going to go out all of the ports, right? And when a computer talks back on one of these ports, it's going to go out all the ports, right? Um, which makes for a chatty network. It really does. And it also is a security risk, right? So if I was eavesdropping, um, I could listen with something, some tool like Wireshark. I could listen to the network and I could see the traffic that wasn't, protected, like it wasn't encrypted or something like that. So a device like this, if it was a hub, and again, I think this is a smart switch. It's just labeled weird. Um, then I could listen to the network. So if I was doing a pen test, or if I was a hacker or something like that, I could jump into the network. Maybe I could plug this into the link in the like a network closet or something like that, and then I could plug my laptop in, and then I could see the network traffic. Right? That's not a good thing from the security standpoint. And then the amount of traffic that these things, because every computer is broadcasting to every port, for the network side of it, it's not the most efficient for the network, right? So we can't connect computers. We can connect segments of the LAN. A big thing about hubs, you got to know a hub is going to broadcast on all the ports. So any traffic that's there, everybody's going to get, which is not a good thing, right? Not a good thing from the security side. Um, so bridge, I don't have a bridge. I can't show you a bridge, but bridge is a device that's used to separate physical LANs or WANs, wide area networks or local area networks, into two logical segments, right? And its main job is to either separate things so that there's less traffic, less communication, less noise on those different network segments. And it can also be used to bring two network segments together. But the big thing is it knows what traffic belongs in the, say, left side and which traffic belongs in the right side of this between its connection, right? And it works just like a bridge. Like if you can assume, and I should have drawn this out, I guess, if you can imagine I think backwards here, a group of computers here and then a group of computers over here. And I want to kind of keep their traffic, separate. So I can put a bridge in between them, and that bridge knows, what traffic's over here, or what computers are over here and what computers are over here. So it keeps a table that says, hey, if it's going to, Jim's computer, it's over here. If it's going to Sam's computer, it's over here. So it'll pass traffic back and forth, but only when it meets the rules of the table that it has. So it's good. It reduces broadcast traffic on the network. It calms down some of that noise. We don't see them a lot anymore because a lot of people just use a switch. And we'll talk about a switch next. But really, it's used to either take a big physical network and split it into two logical networks, or combine networks together so they can talk across, right? And a lot of times it's kind of it's used to reduce traffic. It's used to coordinate and design your network, right? So we're going to use bridges sometimes. Honestly, you probably won't see bridges too much. You'll probably see switches more. But know what a bridge is. Know what a bridge is. Kind of like a switch with normally just two ports, right? Which takes us to switch, right? Switches. A switch is the device you will probably see the most in networking. It's the device you'll probably see the most in security. It looks like a hub, right? So again, this is a device. If you look between the two of them, they look very similar, right? But know that a switch is smart, right? A hub can be powered or not powered. A switch is going to regenerate the signal, and as we know on the hub, when traffic comes in one of the ports, it goes out all of the ports, right? With a switch is smart, right? It knows which computer is on each of these ports, right? It keeps a table, a MAC address table, and sometimes an IP table. And it knows that on Jim's computer is on port 2 and Sam's computer is on port 5. So when traffic comes in, it regenerates the signal and it sends it only to that one port that is destined to, right? And there's some ways we can attack this, but it's a lot more secure. So we know that, in this case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ports plus the uplink. And normally we have this uplink that normally is where we connect to the other network. So if we're going to the internet or we're going to another network, this uplink connects to that, right? And then we have a bunch of ports that are used for computers or printers or whatever. So we know if traffic comes in one of these ports headed for my computer, it's designed only to go out the port where my computer is connected, right? There are some networking rules like broadcast traffic and that kind of stuff that's a little different. We won't really talk about. And there are ways to attack these devices, and we'll talk about those on Wednesday. We'll try to keep our attacks on Wednesday because I like the pirate-themed Wednesday. So we'll talk about attacks on all these devices on Wednesday. But the big thing, the difference between these two, the biggest thing you need to remember is the hub will broadcast on all the ports. The switch is smarter and only broadcasts, designed only to broadcast on the port that the traffic is going to, right? And it does that in 2 ways, and we'll have to talk, I think we're going to talk tomorrow about the OSI model, and that's big to get. We're going to need a little more time to go over the OSI model, but there are layer 2 and layer 3 switches, right? And a layer 2 switch works on the MAC address, and the layer 3 switch works on the MAC address and the IP address, right? It builds a table. It knows which computer is on which port by MAC address, which is a network identifier, the network card identifier. We'll talk a little about that a little bit when we talk about the OSI model. Or the IP address, the changeable, 192.168.1.1, that kind of thing. And we may need to take a day this week and talk about IP addressing. So inside here, there's a table that's kept, and the switch knows which device is on which port. So to attack the switch, we have to attack that table. It can be done, but that's the switch and the hub. There are differences between them, and it's important to know it's nearly impossible to find hubs now. And the reason you'd want one if you're doing pen tests or you're doing ethical hacking, right? We're going to say we're doing the legal stuff, places you're supposed to be doing, and you want to get in and peek on the traffic to see what's going on in the traffic. You want a hub. You want a device that you can jump in and maybe you can plug 1 or 2 computers in to monitor traffic or even attack that stream, right? So we'll talk about attacks on layer 2 and layer 3 on Wednesday, right? And the last device we're talking about this morning is a router, right? It connects 2 or more networks to form an internetwork, right? Functions at layer 3, and it routes traffic based on IP addresses. And this is where you have different networks that are different, right? So maybe you have a public and a private, and again, I guess we'll have to talk about public and private IP addresses, but maybe you have the internet, and then you have your home network. And the internet is going to be public addresses. They're going to be IP addresses that can be routed across the internet. Normally, your home network is going to be private addresses, and those addresses can't be routed across the internet. So you're going to need some kind of device that pulls those things together, right? And you're like, maybe you're thinking that I have no idea what that device could be. What in the world could do this awesome function? And it's really, you'll see, you probably have one of these in your house. And this is an older one. This is not the one that's running our network, but this is an old access point, right? This is a Wi-Fi access point. And in the Wi-Fi access point, there's actually 2 devices, right? We've got our access point, which broadcasts the wireless signal and handles all the routing or the communication on the Wi-Fi side. But on the back, if you look, again, it looks like our hub or our switch. Same thing, we've got our uplink, and that's going to go, let's say, to your cable modem or your internet, however you get to the internet. That's going to be the internet network, right? So that's going to be in this case, that's going to be a publicly routable IP address, right? And then the other ports that aren't yellow in this case, it doesn't always have to be yellow, but in this case, it's yellow. It doesn't always have to be, but these are where we plug our computers into. So we may have one of these going into a switch or a hub to give us more ports, or maybe we're only using, in this case, the 4 ports we have here, and then everybody else is connected wirelessly. This inside here, we also have a DHCP server and all kinds of other things that are going to give IP addresses to these devices here. The devices connect on these ports. The yellow one is going to get all its IP addressing normally from the other network, from the internet, our internet provider. So that's going to get there. But these ones on this side, our local network, they're going to get IP addresses, normally private IP addresses from the DHCP server that lives inside this box, right? So now we've got these gray ports. We'll have something like 192.168.1.13, right? And the public one is going to have a public address, right? Like, I don't know, 142.13.12.7 or something like that. Some publicly routable IP address. So now we've got a bunch of devices that are going to use one single IP address on the outside. So what most of these devices, I can't think of one that wouldn't do it, they'll do is network address translation, right? So inside here, the device will keep track of which port traffic is going to and coming from, right? So traffic will come in. It'll come in from a computer that's, say, 192.168.1.13, and it'll go out to the internet. It'll change the address to a publicly routable one, the address of that's been given to the device by the internet provider, and the device keeps track of what traffic goes to each device. So it's pretty smart that it can do it. It can take not only the 4 ports on this, but maybe you hook it up to a 19-port switch. The device can keep track of all of that different traffic. And we'll talk about that in a later episode. But know that you probably have a router in your house, and it's going to connect 2 different networks, right? So it's going to connect, maybe, in most cases, it's going to connect your local area network with private addresses to a publicly routable network, probably your internet service provider, with public IP addresses, and they're going to be 2 totally different networks, right? And that's one thing we didn't talk about with our switch, right? Normally, all these computers are going to have the same. It's going to have a set of IP addresses that are normally the same. So this would be like 192.168.1.3. 192.168.1.8, and they're going to be all in that 192.168.1. something between 1 and 254. 0 and 255 are used for something else, but they're all going to be kind of the same. Whereas in the router, they're not going to be. They could be totally different IP addresses on the yellow one versus the gray ones. The gray ones are all going to be the same. They're going to be a local area network. So that, my friends, is a high-level overview. So we're going to put together, we've always had the plan to get the full-on Security Plus online course on the internet. So we're going to take these, what we're talking about in these morning sessions, we're going to expand on them. We're going to talk a little bit more about how these things work, and maybe provide some graphics that are going to help you understand them more, because as we're talking through it, it's obvious that there's a lot of pieces that connect to this that if you don't know, so if you haven't gone that route where you've done IT Fundamentals, A+, Network Plus, and you jump into Security Plus, there's a lot of gaps we're going to have to fill in that you may not know. So we'll make sure we fill all those in, make sure we get you up to speed what you need to know to cover, what you need for the Security Plus exam. Security Plus is it is an exam in what the DoD calls the 8570. I think it's got a new name now, but everybody calls it, I think, the 8570. And it's an approved baseline certification for IAT level 1 and level 2, as you can see on there. Under the IAT level 2, see Security Plus, CE means continuing education. It means you just have to keep getting certified, or you keep getting trained forever, right? We know in security you have to stay up on top of this. So that's what CE means, continuing education. And if you see it at level 2, that means it covers IAT level 1 as well. And if you look down IAM level 1, you'll see Security Plus CE there as well. So it is a certification that'll get you in IA technical information assurance technical jobs at the level 1 and level 2 level, and it'll get you into IAM or information assurance management jobs at the level 1 level. So that's really when we're coming into security. We don't want to jump into an IAT or IAM level 3 job. We want to get a job where we're going to get our chance to expand our knowledge and grow within the field. So I don't know. This is a new way I want to go. I think maybe people are at home. They're have a little more time. Maybe you're not driving to work, or maybe unfortunately some people are out there, probably not working now. If you're in a job that doesn't have the ability to telecommute, you can't go to work. Um, I know a lot of people are in that situation. Maybe this is a time to get a new certification, move into a new job. I don't know what your plans are, but do let me know in the comments below. Does it make sense to go this route, or do you want to go back to the old route where we're talking about different things every day? Before the last kind of the break we had. I think it's a good way. I can help people out, get us going, in the right direction. Again, this is going to be part of the online course, and we'll have the online course probably up on the website. The website's going through total redesign right now. Ground up, we burned it to the ground, totally wiped it out, and we're building it over. So that's Cyber-Recon.com. You'll see probably by Friday it should be fairly stable. All the stuff should be back in it that needs to be back in it to get things going. IAT Fundamentals Plus, that course, and the Security Plus course now should both start. Well, they're going to start April 1st. And they'll probably be drip courses. That means we will drip content out over the course of April. So there'll be a lot of stuff to start with in there. You can get going, and we'll try to stay ahead of you depending on how fast you work. If you like this format where we're going to talk about Security Plus for the next however many mornings it takes till we get done with it, let me know below. If you think it's terrible and we need to go back to the other way where we're talking about different things, or if you want a combination of both. If you think maybe part of the week we talk about Security Plus and part of the week we talk about some of the other stuff, let me know. I want to know what works best for you guys, because that's why I do this in the morning. Why I get up in the morning is I generally, for the most part, I know this stuff. If not, it's refreshers are needed for me before I come back on the line. But I've been doing this stuff for over 25 years. I've got the Security Plus. This is for you guys. I want you to get the Security Plus. I'm gonna retire someday, and I need people in there that are gonna take care of us, because think about it. The more people that are working from home, the more we need security. There's a whole different bag of security when we start doing these VPN connections. We have people working from home. So let me know. As always, like the channel. Obviously, that helps us. Hit the bell to be notified when new content comes out. We're back on schedule now. You should see one of these every morning at 7 o'clock. Subscribe. It helps us. And then comment, please comment and let me know what your thoughts are. Are we on the right track? Is there something else we should be covering? Should we rewind and push the IT fundamentals forward first before we do this? I don't know. Do we need 2 sessions a day? Maybe we need a session in the morning where we talk about Security Plus, and a session at night where we talk IT fundamentals. I don't know. Tell me what works for you guys. So I guess that's the long-winded Monday morning spiel. Took a half hour. I didn't think this one would take a half hour, but I really care about getting you guys spun up. If you are in security and you want to advance, I think that's great. Hopefully I can help you. If you want to get in security, let me help you get there. Let's get there. And maybe we need some, a way to help get get things going right. Grappling along like that. Oh, Vincent, thank you. It's wonderful grappling this online class. Really like one day, like thought new to the field. Sorry, I hard for me to read. Yeah, thanks, Vincent. Um, if this helps, hopefully it helps. And if you have, maybe I need to figure out how to do the chat session. Maybe we'll open a chat session every morning. You can let me know what your questions are on these fields. All this week we'll be talking about networking. So Security Plus networking. We'll cover the OSI model. I think tomorrow we'll cover some attacks on Wednesday. I've got an analogy for this stuff that we're used trained, so we'll figure out if that works. What else do we got in this thing? We've got, we'll talk a little bit more about NAT translation. And then we got telephony. We've got a ton of stuff to cover in networking. It's important. There's a lot of stuff to secure in this. Yeah, let me know what you think. Thanks, Vincent. I appreciate the comments. It lets me know somebody's out there besides just me this early in the morning. And that's it. I guess I'll let you all go. I appreciate your attention, and we will talk tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. East Coast time. Be safe out there, and we'll see you then.